Hello, and welcome to Mastering Choices Level 1. This is a journey of transformation. So thanks for being here with me today. I'm imagining that you are ready to unlock the secrets to a life that you've always dreamed of. And ready to do that, even though it might feel a little beyond reach. I'm really happy to get to introduce you to this transformative journey. My intention here is to give you a little sneak peek into a journey that will guide you towards living a life that's filled with love, purpose, and fulfillment. So let's get started here. So can you imagine, rather than being stuck, living a life that's in flow? That each day you're stepping into living your true nature, and that joy is your state of being. So when you can actually recognize that that's not just a distant dream, it really is an achievable reality. And I'm going to introduce that to you through this webinar. So let me first share a little bit about myself. My background with this way of being started back in the 80s. First, I was in business administration and then in the medical field. And I was managing people and creating systems, which I really did enjoy. I loved working with people. So after 15 years, the doorway opened for me to pursue a counselor certification full time. That was back in 1998. And this meant that I wasn't pulling in my salary of 50 grand each year, and my husband picked up all the bills. During this time, I volunteered at a nonprofit, both to gain experience as a counselor and to give back to my community while making a positive impact. And I also took care of my aging father, who passed away just before I graduated. I have 5 beautiful children, and they actually span 23 years from oldest to youngest. And when I was first designing my system, my processes, I was really struggling as a mom. I was struggling to communicate effectively, and I was actively seeking ways to support, particularly my youngest child, to develop new neural pathways for his nervous system. He'd been born with some birth trauma, and he was hypersensitive to any environment. This is him in the pictures here, with his sister just older than him, and then with myself. And then there's all my kids and grandkids. When he was 5, he started to have periods I called limbic burst, really intense stress reactions to sound, touch, light, and texture. And his profound stress response triggered a real latent trauma response in me. And I would literally go into freeze, and that was very debilitating. Did nothing to help calm the environment. Yet this did ignite a desire inside of me. I wanted to understand, how do we as humans, how do we grow? How do we develop? And I desired to understand at a cellular level, how is it possible to lay down new neural pathways to thrive in our lives? And so my love for my child is what truly empowered me to have the courage to take the steps that I needed for my own deeper healing. And during this time, I invested over 70 grand in continuing education. Initially I was being certified as a life coach, and I studied nonviolent communication, which included traveling to participate in year-long parent peer leadership programs, a certification course. And after the first year, I became one of the leaders for 3 more years. And I also studied to become a certified mediator for the state of Washington, became very focused on being a peacemaker. I wanted to help families to know how they could solve their disputes peacefully. And horses continued to be a valuable resource in my life ever since I was a child, providing me with the resonant support that humans were not able to give me. And so here is a picture of my heart horse, Saphira. And she accompanied me for over 15 years and blessed the lives of many with her magnificent presence. To round off my studies, I followed and studied experts in the field of trauma, energy medicine, and constellation work, energy psychology, and neuroscience. So Donna Eden, David Feinstein, Rich Hansen, Peter Levine, Dr. Diane Poole Heller, and Dr. Daniel Siegel. And Dr. Siegel, he is known for transforming the field of psychotherapy with his work. His approach is based on decades of research in clinical practice and the theory of mindfulness, neuroscience, and attachment theory. My intention, I wanted to absorb all of this information, embody it in order to create a new environment, not only for my family interactions, I wanted it to be for all of my interactions with people, even when I went to the grocery store. So this container, it became a sacred space that would not only nurture my son unconditionally, it would empower me to stay present in all of my relationships with my son, with other family members, and with my friends and clients in a completely new way. To be empowered to truly stay present and heart-centered, especially in the face of stress. So I've been in the counseling and coaching industry now for over 25 years. And I've run programs to train facilitators to work with people while partnering with their horses. I've created opportunities for people to experience firsthand the power of the horse's heart in constellations, both in person and virtually. And I combined strands from all of these techniques to create the system I derived from my time in nature, using the analogy of two trees. And more recently, the divine circle process, which represents that we have two pathways of energy and choice that are available to all of us in life at all times. And this has proven to transform not only my son's life and my relationships, it has also magnified the therapeutic outcomes in the lives of my clients and their clients. It has created a ripple effect of goodwill in our world. So, okay, I see we've got someone ready that's watching. So let me take you through an exercise that allows you to have an experience of your roles and also you as an intuitive being. So now this is an intuitive exercise that I'm going to lead you through. So you don't need to worry about anything. You just need to be willing. So, and also it'd be helpful to have a pen and paper and to be in a quiet, comfortable space where you won't be disturbed. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with circles, I use circles a lot in this work. And a circle is actually an ancient symbol that's used in ceremony because they define very powerful spaces. When you envision a circle, you can use it to define a certain space or an energy that you can then step into and become one with that energy. And it's rather like stepping into a constellation field. As a constellation facilitator, I use this. And when I'm reading your field of life, I can place a circle or a mat on the floor, and I'll say, okay, this represents the life energy when you were 5. And I'll get you to step in and to feel it, like what it's like, and to tune into that aspect of your life. So it's a time travel. And so this is a similar flavor to what we're doing here with circles. We're going to use circles to step powerfully into the energy of two aspects of yourself. The aspect of your roles that you've taken on in your life and the aspect of you as an intuitive being. So what I'd like you to do is on your paper, just put a circle on it. Just draw a circle. It can be any size, whatever size you like. It doesn't matter. It's just a circle. And right inside the circle, write the word roles, R-O-L-E-S. We're going to look at the lower energy first, and I'll lead you through everything so you don't need to be worried. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be stepping into this energy, and you're going to become one with the energy of your roles and the roles that you've taken on and the way that that feeds your life and what that looks like. So once you've got your circle on the page, I invite you to close your eyes and begin by taking a couple of deep breaths and just imagine your energy rooting down through the base chakra into the earth. You don't have to be spiritual to get the benefits of this, just be real. So just begin relaxing and imagine that there's nothing to work out. Imagine that there's nothing to know, and that in not needing to know, your mind can relax and it opens naturally into a state of being. giving yourself a moment to imagine just having a circle around you, and that the circle represents your sovereign space. And that in your circle, that this is your time to be of service to yourself. So just letting go of your day, of what's to come, letting go of others, whatever you might have in your field, just acknowledging that and letting it go, and bring all of your own energy into your own circle. And for a moment, just noticing, where are you right now? What is your emotional state? And noticing, what are your thoughts? Noticing what it feels like to be in your body at this time. And whatever you might be observing about yourself, it's allowing this to be your starting point for today. And it's neither good nor bad. It's just a starting point. And taking a moment to set an intention to get the benefit of the exercise today. Noticing the roles that you play. Perhaps as a lover, as caretaker, as workers, as a parent. Whatever is coming through for you. And just allow yourself to begin building a sense of the demands that you feel. Notice the pressure of you having to uphold the different roles that you play in life. And you can imagine it as a heavy cloak that's weighing you down. And so giving yourself this opportunity to be fully open to how you're compromising yourself. What do you try to uphold and force through the roles that you take on? Just notice that under the weight of these roles, what starts happening to the heart of you? And when you're ready, just inviting you to begin writing what's coming through, whatever's here. Begin to notice what there is about your nature that doesn't fit these roles. What do you squash? What's too much? What's really giving yourself permission to feel that? And just notice what this leaves you with. What's the consequence of this role? Letting yourself go with this, just recognizing the rules. You're writing it down, noticing the weight of the roles. What happens when you compromise yourself? Noticing what you squash. Giving yourself permission to really be with the energy of your roles. Letting yourself go with it. What do you tell yourself you need to do? How do you need to be? Just giving yourself another minute just to allow to come through whatever is coming through for you. Just acknowledging it. And beginning to wrap up on your writing and coming back into the present moment. You can continue writing as you feel led. And now we transfer to God some of the useful and probably painful stuff in your circle of roles. Really seeing, what is it that you've taken on? This is what's overtaken the natural intuitive being of who you are and what you're making your life about. Hence, perpetuating more of this experience in this life that you're living now. In the second part of this exercise, we're going to be connecting with your intuitive beingness. Okay, so now in this circle, this is where you're free of those roles, where you're in your own essence as an intuitive being, the true nature of who you are, the deeper being. So closing your eyes again, I want you to reimagine the circle that you've been in, where you're under the weight of your roles, and just revisiting for a moment the heaviness and the weight of your compromised self. Really embody that. And I'm inviting you to imagine just dropping that weight to the floor. Imagine that heavy cloak falling off of your shoulders, that you can drop the weight and the responsibility of those roles. And then it leaves you standing there and with the light and pureness of a being who is undefined. And now imagine that in front of you is a circle that holds the energy of your intuitive being. And just imagine that this circle holds the true energy of you as a pure, instinctive, powerful being. And imagine stepping into this circle and that you become one with the energy and allow that energy to begin informing you and feeling what it's like to come back home to yourself. Just imagine standing in your pure, intuitive self, and that in this circle, your heart opens up like a beautiful flower. And the energy that's inside of you starts to flow out of that open heart. And notice what this energy looks like. What does that energy seek to flower? And if it's a soft, vague sense, that's okay. Just stay with it. Whatever you're getting, stay with it. Let it carry you. Keep noticing what's arising in you, the qualities, the expression, noting down what you're receiving, just writing it down, those unique qualities of who you are. Imagine allowing that energy just flowing with fuel in it. Ooh, just notice what happens to the heart of you in this circle. What would you love to be putting your energy into? What's calling you? And I'm inviting you to ask for a symbol that represents this instinctive being in you. And just go with the first thing you get, whatever it is, receive it. And when you're ready, inviting you to come back to normal consciousness and really write down what you're receiving about your nature. Write down about receiving what it's like for you to come home to the heart of yourself. Writing down whatever you get and just taking it another minute here just to write down whatever's streaming into you. And we'll start wrapping it up. When you're ready, coming back to the present moment. The last piece of the process is called the bridge, or receiving your inner wisdom. And it's the action that's going to serve you in reclaiming your intuitive being. So staying with the role of your intuitive being, staying with that energy, just now imagine looking back on the roles that you play out and asking yourself, what was obvious about letting go of your roles and rising back up into your wholeness? Recognize, what action did you take? What did you do? What's obvious? Reconnecting with your intuitive being and looking there, what's obvious? What was the bridge that you took back to your intuitive being? And when you're ready, write that down. Write down what's obvious to you about honoring this energy that you've just connected with. What is your intuitive being showing you to do? What is your action to take? So again, writing down your bridge. Take a few moments to write it down. Okay, so I trust you got something to act on, that you received a bridge from your intuitive being and the wisdom that's inside of you. That's really important, that you let yourself act on what you get. I know it's going to feel vague, and it is going to feel uncertain. And it's very easy to dismiss what you're getting about yourself and for yourself. Yet coming back home means you need to start listening to those little intuitive threads, the things that don't quite make sense. And you really need to use and draw on your own wisdom. Now, through the Mastering Choices Level 1 program, we're going to be tilling the soil of your consciousness. You're going to be turning it over. And what's really important is that you begin planting the things you want to grow, that you like to grow. You need to act on what you love. So, any shares what that was like to step into your circle of roles? What was it like when you stepped into the circle of roles? Just noticing. Mm. Circle of roles, that there's just a lot of responsibilities. It's easy to fall into overwhelm. Yeah. Well, I noticed how I was limiting my true self. Yeah, notice what are the actions you take when you limit yourself. Oh, some distract themselves. Yeah, yeah. Oh, becoming small and quiet. Yeah, just observing from the background. Yeah, taking responsibility for others. Yes. And then as you stepped into your intuitive being, what was it that you noticed? Became light. Oh, there's a softness. Oh, a sense of inspiration and potential. Oh, noticing when you step into your true self, you come into your heart. And what do you notice as far as the sensations or the feelings that arise when you step into your heart? What's different than when you are in your roles? It's really important to notice the distinct differences. The roles feel heavy and dark. Oh, and there's a lightness and a sense of ease in the heart. Nice. Yeah. So if you look at the exercise that you've just done, or you look at the aspects of consciousness, your subconscious is going to say yes to whatever has the most energy in your consciousness. And that measures that by what you take action on. Okay, so your subconscious doesn't care if you feel good or bad. What it looks for is, what action are you taking? What are you doing? And so when we look at this exercise, you've had an experience of what your roles play out. And you've had an experience of coming back to your own wholeness and that deeper intuitive being in you. And recognizing your subconscious, it doesn't judge either one of those. It sees them both with no judgment. And so if you would like to tip that scale, it looks to see why are you going to act in favor of it if you act out of your roles? That's where the power is. And that's what you create, more and more heaviness, more and more stuckness, more people pleasing, giving your power away, whatever the experience may be for you. And if your subconscious sees you acting on what you've got in the circle of your intuitive being, no matter how vague or random it may appear, it then assumes that that's where the power is, and it will start to give you more clarity, more energy, and make more connections. And that's when the magic starts to unfold. When you're in your wholeness as an intuitive being, this is what you need to tune into. Because then you're going to start following these threads and they're going to open up things in your world. You're going to expand your sense of self. So whatever you've just gotten for yourself, give it to yourself. This is the difference between elevating into a life you love or going nowhere. Okay, so now I invite you to have a daily practice. For that to be every single morning, that you're going to imagine the circle of your roles and you're going to take a moment and step into this place and observe where your energy is going. Recognize, what are you playing out? Where are you pushing hard? And you're going to let that go. And you're going to acknowledge it by letting it go. And then you're going to imagine the second circle of you as the intuitive being and noticing what's there, tuning into that energy. And you can also use the symbol that you received for yourself. And you can step into that and become one with that. And I'd say you can use the energy of your symbol to embody these qualities more deeply. So, how did you get to choose this energy for yourself? Because you're going to say yes to it. You're going to take ownership and you're going to notice what's obvious about moving forward with that energy. Can you get to practice honoring what you get and acting on that? Yes? Okay. So you've got to plant the seeds of what you want to grow. So going forward, be conscious of what you give your energy to. Be selective. Recognize what you're giving your energy to. And I also encourage you to avoid being bombarded by pollutants, by excessive social media, excessive noise, or people's opinions. Practice really acknowledging yourself. When you're getting something, then really go for it. Don't ask someone else what they think because they don't know. Practice trusting, having trust, and go with what you get. So, let me see here. I want to recognize here. Let me see. I'm trying to move my little cursor in the background here. So who is this Mastering Choices course for? Because that was just a little tidbit exercise that you can see some of the practice that we move through in community. So this Mastering Choices is designed for people who feel stuck in reactive patterns and their belief systems. So whether you're navigating significant life transitions, or you're striving to build confidence in your professional setting, or you're seeking deeper self-awareness, this course offers transformative insights and tools. And it's really ideal for those who are curious about the ancient teachings of the Enneagram and would like to understand their own personality types. It'll help you to recognize your automatic reactions and to choose new empowering paths. So I really do encourage you to join if you're on that journey of personal growth and you want to develop higher consciousness. You want to have more empathy available for yourself and others and have compassionate understanding. So you'll get to connect with other people that are on the same journey, and you can embrace your potential and unlock the power of living intentionally. As I've been on this journey, it's been pretty phenomenal to really see so much more clearly the patterns that I do just on automatic, and I don't even recognize it when I'm out mowing my lawn or I'm watering the flowers, and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. What path am I on right now? What's the pattern that's been running me? What's the energy that's running me? I come back to my heart. I come back and I take a breath and I'm with. And I choose to step into the energy of love and above. Oh, so here in the chat, I think I really need to step into trust, especially when I'm around others who are closed. And I have quite a few automatic reactions. We have zillions of them. We all do. And I want you to know that's okay. We're not going to make them bad or wrong. We're just going to acknowledge the truth of what's running in the moment. When we bring awareness to that, that's where the shift can happen. So in the course, what you'll receive is access to comprehensive course materials, which will include video lectures, guided meditations, and written resources. There will be personalized support and guidance from me throughout the duration of the course. And there will be opportunities where we will have interactive discussions and engagement with a supportive community of fellow participants. That's where the real juice happens. And then there will be practical exercises and tools each week to integrate the spiritual teachings into your daily life. And that will really help foster lasting transformation and growth. And I cannot impress enough how important it is to practice the practice. When you really choose to practice the practice, that's where the magic truly does happen. So there'll be 4 different modules, and we'll have 3 weeks in each one. So module 1 will be really focusing on what is your Enneagram type. We're going to delve into that ancient wisdom of the Enneagram, and you'll get to identify your type and your core motivations. And that's some really deep work. I mean, you think about a tree, and the tree goes down and you have roots. Each of those roots has so many tendrils of roots. And that's really what happens with our automatic habits and our tendencies and our motivations. They're really subconscious. They're deep down underneath our awareness. But when we can start to recognize what's growing on the top, like what are we actually getting out of our life? What are the results? We start to see our patterns, and we start to, instead of judging them and making them wrong, we start to recognize them with more clarity. I know for myself, when I first started recognizing my patterns, oh, I went into shame. Like, I don't want anybody to see this, because I was identifying that it was me. But the truth is that when I stepped into that circle of my roles, I could see, or the circle of my current reality of what's here, right now. I could recognize, oh, these are the conditions I was taught, that this is how I'm supposed to be. This is who I have to be. And I didn't have choice. And most of us had no choice when we were little. When we were little, we're born and we're helpless. And many of us experience experiences that feel hopeless as well and overwhelming when we have big other ones that maybe aren't as conscious as we would enjoy them being. The truth is, when we can recognize the patterns at play, we can come back to our heart. And this is a spiritual teaching. When we come into our heart of hearts, it's like an inner sanctuary where we're never alone, where spirit is always abiding with us. And we can receive grace for ourselves and for others. And we can step into our circle of life, ours, which is our truth, which is love-based. And we can begin to recognize where we can now shift. It's like a big ship has that little udder underneath it. And what you can do is you can shift the rudder. And when you shift the rudder, that no matter what's going on in your life right now, your destination has just changed course. So when you set your intention to be of service to your highest and best, you step into your innocence, into your heart, and you start taking action steps that are from what you love, your life will change, and your life will become a life that you do love. So I see someone had never heard of the Enneagram types before and looked it up, and they're very intrigued to explore. Just looking at them, I resonate with the perfectionist and the helper. Okay. Well, I do want to acknowledge too, thank you for that. that we actually embody all of these types, all of these energies, and yet because of our unique experiences in life, we're going to have one of them that's going to pop to the surface more. And then we'll have what's called wings that we will resonate then more with others. And depending on what's happening in our environment, different aspects will be stimulated. So it's not like, oh, I'm a Trident 2, number 6, or whatever it is. It's no, we're all of these different energies, but this just gives us a structure to begin to look at the patterns that emerge and to recognize we all have them. Here's a question. Can you step into your heart even when you're around others who seem to judge or come from blaming energy? Absolutely. Um, my intention and my heart's desire is to really abide in my heart, and yet I'm having a human experience here as well. And so I'm gonna move like this energetically, and I'll find myself dipping into my patterns and then coming back into my heart. The truth of the matter is, regardless of how others show up in your world, you can choose where you focus your attention with intention. And regardless of what others do, you make choices. My practice is to make choices from my heart, no matter what others do. And that's going to have a really big ripple effect. So, yeah, I was taught and trained very young to be a victim, and that I didn't have choice, and that I had to do what others wanted. And if I didn't, then it would really be bad for me. And so those patterns will show up for me even now because they're fundamental patterns in this system. Now I can recognize them, I can take a moment with them, and I can come back to my heart and I can speak up. And I can speak up with grace because that's really important to me. It's important to me because grace is undeserved merit. It's not about whether you deserve something. It's, because you matter. We all matter. And even the ones that are in their judging and blaming energy, they matter too. They just haven't received enough of the love energy to recognize that they have patterns running them, so that they could come back into choice. I hope that's helpful. Oh, here's another. I was also taught to be a victim. I didn't even know that this was what I was taught. Yeah. Yeah, we can show up very quiet. We can find ourselves in patterns. I remember um, being just as a teenager going, oh my gosh, I just got really quiet. And now I'm so quiet. If I speak up, somebody's going to notice and then they're going to look at me. And then what am I going to do? That pattern will still show up sometimes. But now I can have a little bit more of a giggle. I can come into my play energy with a little bit more grace for myself. And sometimes just even naming the obvious just brings me right back. And I'm no longer held by the shroud of that dark cloak of my limiting beliefs. So identifying your type and your core motivations, I find that to be really supportive. It really helps you to have insights into what influences your behavior. You can see the impact of what happens, what knocks you into being codependent, what knocks you into being a victim, what knocks you into being controlling, or whatever it may be, because this does lay the foundation for greater self-awareness. In the second module, we will really start to dive into our emotional roots, because many of us have the experience that when we have these different emotions, boom, that just starts our actions going. So when I would get scared, I'd get quiet. I'd do my best to be invisible. That was an automatic reaction. If I got angry, I just smoldered it out. Anger was never allowed in my world. And so I would become passive aggressive, and I didn't even realize I was doing that. And I'd get nitpicky about things. And that was a way of letting the anger energy out, but I wasn't even owning it. I didn't even know it was anger. I just thought other people weren't paying attention to stuff. And that's just a story I was telling myself. So as we start to really recognize, we can reflect and recognize our patterns, we can be empowered. We can pull that energy back into our heart, and we can foster healthy expressions that come from our true nature. And in module 3, we're really going to be focusing on what is the higher consciousness, and how do we expand our consciousness, and how do we deepen our own self-awareness, And so actually practicing some meditation exercises will really be supportive. There's visualization exercises we'll use as well. And I find them to be so helpful to navigate challenges. Oh, yes. So someone says, I love this image. I do too. When I found it, I was like, yes. To me, this is just a beautiful example of our innocence. When we think about, for most of us anyway, when we think about an infant, there's such an innocence there. And then seeing this little one here that's just, sleeping on a cloud, and there's a rainbow, and there's sunshine and blue skies and clouds. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's soft. It's touches the heart and soul deeply. And when we come from this place, we're non-judgmental. We're not about good or bad, right or wrong. We're able to actually recognize what really is. We can live in the unknown because we don't know much of anything, and that's okay. We're actually being more present with life energy when we're here. And then in our fourth module, we'll really focus on developing our tools and applying the tools that we've learned through the course. We'll learn how to recognize what our goals are and how to set the goals, and actually how to follow through with action steps in order to achieve, to create in our life that which we love. And a big part of that will be really enhancing our communication skills, recognizing the way that we speak and how our words create in our life and what it creates in our life. And we can foster more meaningful connections. We will have really developed some really strong rapport and bonding with others in the class as we've moved through these exercises. And that really, really helps to foster creating really lasting change, both in ourselves, on our neural pathways, and on our relationships with others. There's many that have lasting relationships for years after they've bonded through a course such as this. And that's part of being on that path of life. So now I want to announce, hey, the Mastering Choices Level 1 is open for enrollment. And so, I love this, since I'm ready to really step into this process. No, thank you. So they've been taking my courses for a while now and acknowledging they really needed to be ready and in a place to really take in the new information in order to integrate it. Well, I'm excited to have you continuing your journey with me. So there is a fast action bonus, which is my guided meditation series, Growing and Evolving Your Essential Self. And that's available for the next 48 hours. If you sign up, then that'll be something that you get that'll be part of your cart and you'll have access to indefinitely. And there's also some specials when you register today through August 12th, which I don't have my calendar right in front of me. I think that's a week. You can register for $250, so that's like 50% off. There will be another next level pricing after September 1st. It'll be $350, so there will still be quite 150 off. Oh, okay, yeah. So got people registering today. Thank you. And then the regular rate after September 1st, it will be $500. But I'm really looking forward to you being here. Any shares, anything you'd like to share here as we're coming to a close? Any questions you have? So some people want to know how long they'll have access to the course. Well, at this point, it's pretty much indefinite. You'll have access to this course through your library on my website. Someone wants to know if there's an Enneagram test they can take. I do believe that there are different tests that they say they're free on the website, on the internet. What I found with that, usually they're going to charge you $1 or $2 for that, and then you're going to be on an email list. So beware of that. There are those types you can take. When you go through the course, we're going to go through a gentle process. It's not about it. It's really, I'm going to hold with so much care the way that we identify ourselves. What we're using this as a tool to recognize patterns at play in our world and to recognize which ones do I really tune into. That tends to be more of what I do. And then there's a balancing act that happens with it, which I bring that into the alchemy. That's how you can use an alchemic process where you have the lower frequency. You're like, ooh, I do that pattern. I don't like that pattern. Well, really noticing what that is, using that circle of what is it that's happening in my body now? What am I telling myself? How do I feel? What are the sensations? What's the emotional flavor? And when I rest with that, what are the actions I take? And being able to see that. And what's the results I get from that? Is that something that I really like? But just really noticing that and where that is in the system. And then step out of that and then step into that other circle. Step into what do I like? And what does that look like? How does that feel in my body? What opens up for me there? And then again, finding that bridge between the two. Those are your action steps to take that change the rudder of your ship, the rudder of your vessel. This is your human vessel that your spirit embodies. And how can you begin to traverse your course? So yeah, really getting to recognize the essence, your sense of self. Yes. And being able to empower that, to live from that softer, gentle spirit energy rather than the harsh, matter-of-fact force energy that just really has intensity. It's no joke. I'm not going to make it bad or wrong. Sometimes I need to bring up my intensity for whatever the reason may be. Maybe I need to take action. Maybe there's a child in the street and I want to go sweep them out of there. I need to have that vibrancy, that action to do that. That's life serving. So no frequencies are made right or wrong. We're going to be out in that field beyond right and wrong with the Rumi. That's what I want to invite you into a place where we are non-judgmental, but we are really interested in noticing and becoming more and more aware of what are the patterns at play in my world and what am I creating when I'm choosing that, or it's unconscious choice. It's not like I'm consciously choosing it. So we'll go into exploring the different levels of consciousness or the different types of consciousness. It's not like a hierarchy. They're like waves. If you think about the ocean has all of the different ways of being in it. There's places in the ocean that are just a big storm, a tsunami storm. There's other places that it just seems like it's nothing but calm. And there's everything in between. And then down at the very base, down deep in the center, there's a calm center. We want to be able to access that calm center that can stay present in the face of any storm. That's the purpose of this course, is to really have accompaniment as you really get to recognize your patterns, and then you'll recognize the patterns of others. And it's not to judge them, it's to have compassionate understanding for yourself and for others. Okay, it's easier to show up as my true self when I'm surrounded by others who are showing up in ways that are more life-serving and have higher frequencies than those who show up in judgment and criticisms. Absolutely. Of course it is. That makes perfect sense. And for me, it really helps when I think about my youngest granddaughter, who has a lot of different emotions. And there are times, there's one picture that my daughter sent me of her after she'd had a shot at the doctor's. And she was looking like that. Well, just because she looked at me like that and she had that energy, I can read what's going on around that. Well, the same thing is true even when I'm with an adult and that adult goes into that stance. I can step into my heart. I can choose to be in my heart, and I can actually read the energy of what's really here right now. And I don't need to be in judgment. I can stay relational, curious, and interested. I can stay in a conversation rather than getting shut down. But when I come from my patterns of the past where I've been imprinted, then if somebody showed up like that as an adult, ooh, I'm just going to disappear and get real meek and mild. That's not who I came here to be. I came here to be curious and to be of service to life. And when someone's showing up that way, I can stay curious. It doesn't mean I need to take an action with them. That answer is going to come from in my heart. It's not going to come outside of myself. I really do get to be in choice. And I get to grow my own awareness of what choice am I choosing? Am I choosing to take action that's unconscious? Or am I choosing to step into my innocence and be of service to life? Yeah, so someone says here, I have more compassion for young children or even adults who I've known as children first. That makes sense too. Yeah, thank you. I want to be of service to life, as do I. Yeah, so thank you for your questions and thank you for your comments. I really appreciate that you were here today. And feel free to reach out to me. Those of you who are watching later, this will stay up and available for you to be able to catch a glimpse of what it's like to really step into this program of mastering choices. This is level 1 and an invitation for you to come back and be of service to your own life consciously. So thank you.